Hello, it is the next morning. It is Sunday, January 27th. Yes. Whenever I'm eating by myself, like at home, eating breakfast or lunch or dinner or whatever, I'm normally watching something and I'm like, okay, well this morning, let me just stare at the wall, this wall behind me actually. I was sitting at my desk eating and let me just think, and I was actually talking out loud. I talk to myself, get over it. And so I was just thinking about stuff and I kind of finally voiced out loud what I've been feeling for a very long time. And I feel like it sort of has something to do with my whole creative rebirth that I'm going through right now. And I'm choosing to call it creative rebirth because I'm focusing on the positive aspects of it as opposed to calling it a writing life crisis or something. But it kind of is that as well. But basically I realized a couple of things that I want to change, that I kind of want to work on this year, I guess, as far as resolutions go. I'm not really calling them resolutions, but they're more or less things that I kind of want to try to work on and get better at this year. I always limit myself when I'm writing. I usually never, unless I have some sort of external force telling me what to write, like a creative writing club or a creative writing class, such as when I was in college. Unless I have some sort of external force like that kind of telling me what to write, anything I write, and I'm working on changing this, anything I've written has to have one or two qualities. One, I've always felt like I needed to do something with the writing. Like I don't, like instead of writing just for fun or just to explore, I'm writing with the end goal of like getting it published somehow. Like I have to do something with the writing once I've written it, otherwise I don't want to write it. It's like I couldn't write it unless I was planning to get it published, which I think is such a bad way to look at writing, because I'm not writing to get published. I'm writing as a form of like creative expression and self-expression, like working through emotions and things that I'm going through. I'm not writing to get published. Even if that is one of my goals, that's not my main goal. That's not my end goal. It's not like once I get published, that's it for me. Like I'm done writing. Like, no. I plan to write for the rest of my life, as long as I love doing it. The second thing is that I have to either be passionate about the writing or serious about it from the get-go. I don't spend time sitting down with an idea or just writing it unless I'm already passionate about the idea, which is so weird because I kind of feel like, how are you going to find the writing that you're or the story or the characters or the world that you're passionate about unless you like entertain all these ideas and you write them down and you explore some and you don't and you explore others. Like you have to give these writings the time of day. You have to give them a chance to flourish and to expand and to see where they can go, as opposed to like just completely discarding them right off the get-go because, oh, I'm not passionate about it. Like, of course you're not. You don't know anything about the idea. You have to sit down and get to know it.
Girl, you better preach.
So those are the two things. There has to be some sort of end goal, and I have to be passionate or serious about the idea from the get-go. And so those are things that I'm working on changing, and I think that the best way for me to do this is to become more exploratory in my writing, to give myself a chance to kind of like work things out. I tend to get, sometimes I'll get random ideas like, you're falling asleep or you're reading a book or you're watching a TV show or a movie or you're just kind of going about your day and you think, like I'm saying you, but I mean me, like I think about some idea or some random line that maybe sounds kind of interesting that I could write down in a notebook just to hold on, just to kind of put it somewhere where I can access it later if I want to, But like sometimes, most of the time when I think of these random things, I don't do anything with them. Either I'm too lazy to get up or, I'm falling asleep. I don't want to get up just to write in this notebook. Like, I want to go to sleep, you know what I mean? And so sometimes I let those kinds of things get in the way of me actually going and writing down the idea. And so last night I pulled out this old notebook. Not really old, it's only a couple years old. Like when I bought this notebook, I kind of designated it my miscellaneous writing notebook, So I was in a creative writing club for a semester at college, and anytime that they gave us a prompt or something, I would use this notebook to write it in. Or in my nonfiction writing class, which I was also taking that semester, she wanted us to bring a notebook to class so that way, she would give us a prompt and we would write in it. So I would use this for that as well. If I had random ideas like, oh, this is a cool anecdote to write down, or, oh, this is an interesting story idea, or whatever the case, I would try to use this notebook to write it down just to kind of keep track of miscellaneous ideas that either don't fit anywhere else or maybe I'm not near my computer. I've kind of forgotten about this notebook. I've put it off to the side. I want to bring this back out. I want to start using this a lot more. I want to start bringing it with me at least most places where I go. Maybe not everywhere, but I want to start bringing this more often, or even just like keeping it out on my desk or by my bed to write down ideas as I come up with them. And I actually wrote a few stuff last night. Let's see if I'll read them to you. Because I was actually reading my second Haruki Murakami book, which, like, dude, this dude is already my favorite author, or one, at least one of. This is only the second book I've read by him, and I'm only, what, 76 or 77 pages into it. This is the sequel to A Wild Sheep Chase, and if you remember, I talked about A Wild Sheep Chase a little bit when I was in my line editing video, because it kind of inspired me in a lot of ways with line editing. I just really like his writing style, and he's from Japan. I grew up in Japan, so I just kind of feel like there's also that connection. And also, like, kind of his whimsical, almost nonsensical in a sort of way, kind of writing style, stream of conscious narration. But anyway, I was reading that last night. I was highlighting a couple of lines, like, oh, I really like this line. Kind of just had my brain churning with ideas, and I just felt this sort of rejuvenation in a way, and I think it definitely helped that I was A, reading that book, and B, had a really fantastic time at Barnes & Noble yesterday, and the music I was just really into. So I was just feeling really creative yesterday, which is the first time in, like, what feels like such a long time that I felt that way. And so I'm really happy that I feel like I'm getting back into it. I don't want to put pressure on myself and say that I am getting back into it, but again, this is about how Sydney got her groove back. So just a couple of random things, and these are like random anecdotes. We're doing good things. We're good at what we're doing. That was just like a couple of lines that I wrote down. Let's see. The dripping well floods, overwhelms. Maybe it's too much, except when it's never enough. And then this one's a little bit longer. You can't see it if you look directly at it. Look slightly to its side, like unfocusing your ears to hear that distant rumble, like displacing your interest to seem more interesting. In this place, we're all displaced. So, and then the other one was, who knows where this will end? I'm an illusion, I pretend. I wallow at the bend. Let's dive in, let's begin. So, those are just kind of some random anecdotes that I wrote down yesterday, which, like, in a way, I kind of love them because they're slightly nonsensical in a way, but also they sort of were putting to words what I was feeling about in the moment, like, oh, like, this is a cool idea, or just some notion that I thought of before, but never put into words. Yeah. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to chat with you guys about how I'm feeling. Yeah, so today, I'm going to go to Walmart, go pick up my new glasses, and then I'm going to go to this cafe down the street from me, which I have not been to. And according to Google Maps, I've not been there in like 5 months. Which in a way, I think is kind of creepy that Google Maps is tracking me like that. But at the same time, it's kind of good to know that I haven't been there in 5 months. But also, you know, Big Brother and all that. So anyway, I'm going to go. Be wild, everybody. Be wild.